Hi folks, it's been a little bit of time, but I thought best to get back to the videos and show you all these great comic books that we have here. This one says Grend HE, so we know there's all sorts of goodies in here. And starting off as if you're a independent comic book fan, this is a comic book from the 80s, Grendel Devil's Vagary. And what's cool about this one is that the comic book pretty much literally starts on the cover, and there's even comic book section on the back cover as well. This one doesn't have a bag, so I can show you that's what the back cover looks like, and it's still part of the story. So this is by Matt Wagner with the illustrations by Dean Motter. It's a really excellent story, of course. Grendel was a terrific series, highly recommended. And Speak of the Devil, there's Grendel #1 by Matt Wagner. Now, I have a fairly complete run of Grendel here. And as I say that, oh, there's #2. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. I'm pretty sure that I have a full run. I'm not going to bother to show you all of them. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll show you a couple of them along the way. That's Grendel 9.
What about Grendel's mother?
No mention of her.
Any Beowulf?
Nope, no Beowulf. 11 and 12. So I have Grendel 1 to 12 at least. That's the first story arc. And then here's the second arc, Grendel 13 and 14. This series goes to 40, and I have a good amount of it. This is Grendel, and now these issues also feature Mage, which is another character that Matt Wagner created. So
parental guidance is suggested too,
yeah,
apparently.
that was before they had rating systems in comics. So yeah, these are Grendels in the 20s, and you know, I have a lot of Grendel issues, probably more than I can even think I can sell, but unfortunately I don't think people really remember comics from this era. So, but if you are one of those people who likes Grendel and likes Matt Wagner, by all means, please hit me up in the comments and or eBay and let me know. This is Grendel Batman, a crossover that Matt Wagner did. This is Grendel Devil by the Deed, which features other creators working on Grendel stories, so that's pretty cool. And this is Grendel Devil's Odyssey, which was a later miniseries released by Dark Horse. This is Grendel Tales. This is where other creators would take over and do stories about Grendel, you know, sanctioned by Matt Wagner, but it was still, there were some really interesting names that did these things. So Homecoming, that one is. And then we move on to Grifter, which is a Wildstorm Image creation. That's a Barry Windsor Smith cover, so that's pretty cool. Same issue. This is Atlas Comics, which was kind of something that came out in the mid 70s, and it kind of was financed up until like the second issue. So each one of the series that came out, they had
up until the second issue.
Yeah, they had multiple titles, and each one of them went 1 or 2 issues, and then the third and fourth issues were just kind of like, you know, the death
Grim
knell.
Ghost.
Pretty much the death knell. Yeah, that was the Grim Ghost. Good call. This is #1, Gru the Wanderer. So that was another Sergio Aragonés, who was a well-known Mad Magazine creator, but he created this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Conan the Barbarian parody character. So there's some of that. And here we go with Guardians 3000 by Dan Abnett, who's a terrific writer. So, but this is #1.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians 3000. So I think it's set in the future or something. Who knows? It's hard to keep track of all this, but I have a bunch of those. So if you're interested in that series, then I've got a bunch. This is more of Guardians 3000, and there's a new series here. Let's see what this is. Aha! Guardians of the Galaxy. This is the 80s version of Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's
Starhawk.
That's Yondu. Yeah, Starhawk is here.
Apparently he didn't make it into the movies.
Yeah, I guess there's only so much you can do. There's Galactus fighting Guardians of the Galaxy. And yeah, so these just more of that. There's Dr. Octopus fighting Guardians of the Galaxy. Asgard, so there must be Thor in here somewhere. A lot of guest stars in there. There's more Guardians of the Galaxy. That's number 62. That's pretty late. So it must have gone on for a while. This is Guardians of Infinity, again by Abnett. So That's just another series, number 5. This is Guardians of Nowhere by
Oh,
Bendis.
the mining
The
colony.
mining colony, yeah, I guess. Bendis and Diodato. Diodato, who's a great artist, and Bendis, who was a well-known writer.
Is that Brian Michael Bendis guy?
That sure is. Good call. Bendis and Diodato. So there's more of that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. I got first 4 issues of that. Here's Guardians Team Up. Bendis again. Guardians Meet the Avengers. There's Guardians Team Up. Some more issues. Number 4. And that's number 5. So there's a bunch of that. And this is Reno Jones and Kid Cassidy. I guess I have this under Gunhawks. I probably couldn't decide to if I should put it under Gunhawks or Reno Jones, but it's under Gunhawks at the moment. But this is from the 70s. We can tell by the 20-cent price tag. This is John Bolton, Halls of Horror. One could argue that this should be filed under Bolton, but I filed it under H for Halls of Horror. So seems to be a never-ending debate for me as to sometimes where to file stuff. This is Hard Case. This is a series that came out from Ultraverse. I think they were bought out by Marvel, which unfortunately, because of licensing fees, we'll never see these characters ever again. But there's Hardware, which is...
right, because Marvel can't afford those licensing
They
fees.
just don't want to pay them. So this is Hardware. This is part of the Milestone imprint that DC came out with. I believe it was the 90s when they started this. And there's a copy without the bag. So that's number 1. This is a different version of number 1. And there's number 2, 4. This is number 17, so we jump ahead a little bit. So that went on for a good while. That's number 18. And Steel is another character that was created in the Milestone universe and imprinted DC. So there's Haunted Library. So this is a Charlton horror book. Charlton was another comic book publisher at that time. Havoc and Wolverine Meltdown. This has some great creators on it. Walt Simonson as the writer and John J. Muth did the painting and art in the issues. Really looks good. And this is Hawkeye miniseries. This was one of the first Marvel miniseries. I don't know if it was the first, but it was definitely one of the first. This is by Mark Gruenwald, and I believe that Mark Gruenwald did the art and story, which is unusual because I think he was primarily a writer, but I believe that he did the art and story here. But yeah, this was pretty good. So Marvel was really doing some interesting stuff in the 80s, but that's number 1. That's number 2. Let me make sure I got the name right. I'm pretty sure it's Mark Gruenwald. It is. There's Mark Gruenwald, writer, penciler, which not bad. I up until that point, I thought he was just a writer, but he's apparently a pretty decent artist too. So, yeah, this miniseries was interesting. I think some of the stuff that happened, like there's a point in this where I believe that Hawkeye was had hearing damage because of a sonic arrow or something like that, and Mockingbird is introduced in this series too. So that's another character, and they became a couple. Originally, she was, I think, a mercenary, just like he was. So, yeah, it was an interesting series. Definitely worth having a look. This is Hellblazer, which stars John Constantine. He's called John Constantine in England, but he's John Constantine here. I believe that the creator, Alan Moore, actually said his name is Constantine, but most people say Constantine, so we'll go with that. But this is number 3, so it's pretty early.
Most people in America, I guess.
Yeah, because the movie also called him Constantine. So I don't know what number this is. They're hard to see.
Number 6.
That's number 6. So yeah, I have a bunch of early issues. These are shortly after he was introduced in Swamp Thing, and he got his own title. So that's number 20. It's number 24. These are the first couple of issues are by Jamie Delano, except for this one, which is by Neil Gaiman, creator of the Sandman character, or actually, I guess the reviver of the Sandman character, because technically it had previously been created, but I guess he created a whole new universe for the Sandman. So, and now we're back to Jamie Delano, and then eventually it switches over to Garth Ennis, and this is a Garth Ennis issue, and Garth Ennis created The Boys. He also did some issues of Hitman and Preacher. I believe he created those characters as well. So, yeah, we have some Garth Ennis, and he did Hellblazer for a long time. This is Hellblazer 64. So that's that. Then there's Hell's Angels. I believe this is Marvel Comics UK, but featuring X-Men or anything will certainly get people's attention. So I picked up some of those issues. I have 1 through 4 of that. This is Hellstorm, Prince of Lies. So interesting stuff. If you need a copy of number 1, I have a bunch. There's number 2. I have a couple of those. So I have a bunch. That's number 3. And moving right along, because I don't want to run out of time, this is Fred Hembeck Destroys the Marvel Universe. He was kind of a funny, he would write funny stories and do funny art in those days, and it was always worth a read. This is Hercules Unbound. There are several versions of Hercules throughout comic books, and that's just DC's version of it. Hercules Unbound. This is Marvel's version of Hercules, which is he frequently would appear with Thor, and he also appeared in the Avengers, so maybe even the Defenders too. So that's the Hercules of Marvel.
I think he appeared in the closing scene of Love and Thunder too. So.
Yeah. So I have all 4 issues of the first Hercules miniseries, and then there was a second Hercules miniseries, and I think I might have all 4 issues of that as well. So yeah, good stuff there. This is Hercules again later. This is by Tom DeFalco and Ron Frenz, who were a creative team on Spider-Man after Roger Stern left. So this would have been the late 80s, maybe mid to late 80s that they were working on it. But DeFalco and Frenz are always good creators. And I have a couple of those issues. This is Hero Sandwich, which is by Slave Labor.
What do you mean it's by Slave Labor?
That was the name of the company, Slave Labor. This is DC's Heroes Against Hunger. All proceeds go to relieve hunger in Africa. So Neil Adams did some art, which is really worth excellent. Anyway, never mind. Heroes for Hire, which is something, I think it's kind of an offshoot of Power Man, because he was called Power Man Hero for Hire, and I think they expanded that to have him having a team. So there are several issues of this. John Ostrander was involved with this, and he's a pretty good writer. So. And then they relaunched it later. This is by Jimmy Palmiotti. And here is For Hope, X-Men. This is another famine relief in recovery in Africa, so it's good that they were conscious of world events. This is Wally Wood, Heroes Inc. Great stuff. Heroes Reborn. Also, let's see, it's Peter David. Definitely worth getting because of that. Heroes Reborn, Chris Claremont. And this is Hex. Jonah Hex was a Western character, and in this they sent him into the future or something like that. So it was kind of an interesting take on the same character. But that went on for several issues, and this is number 5. So they played around with the character a little bit. That's number 8, and that's number 20, I believe. No, that's number 19 or 18. But yeah, that's Keith Giffen art on the cover, I can tell. And that's it for the Gren to HE. So that's it for that box. That's Gren to HE. So there's some pretty good stuff in there. So please, if you have anything in there that you saw, let me know if you would be interested. Send me a message or contact me with a comment below. Thanks again for watching. So long.